Welcome, everybody. Muscle Science for Women. We're back at it. Where
Back in
were we?
action.
Where were we? No one knows. Actually, I was, but I'm speaking in like Back to the Future tense right now, in San Diego because by the time this podcast comes out, I will have been to San Diego and come back. I have not gone to San Diego yet. Is everyone confused? Anyway, I'm excited to go to
I'm
San
so
Diego.
excited.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. How are you? How's things?
Things are good, just hanging out, walking off curbs and spraining my ankle and
Yeah, guys, if you guys don't follow our every move on social media, I was the very fortunate recipient of a foot pic the other day because Rachel sent me a picture of her very swollen ankle. She's like, maybe you can't tell the difference. I'm like, I can definitely tell the difference because one of your ankles is looking very unhappy. How is it though? Is it doing better?
it's actually way better in just a few days. So
That's good. That
it
probably
was
means it was like a very like just painful soft tissue, but like minor thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a whole I'm just gonna tell this quick story because it's just like it was a day. You know when you have some of those days every once in a while where like nothing goes right and everything just it's just bad luck. So
Mm.
I was watching my friends three Frenchies over the weekend because they went away to Stagecoach. Have you ever heard of that? It's like a
I have,
big
yeah.
country music festival in Palm Springs. So they went away. So I offered to watch their dogs out of the kindness of my heart. So I stayed in their house for like the whole weekend. And this day, basically I got on my car. I parked at their house, got on my car, and I stepped off the curb and completely rolled my ankle. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God. And so that sucked. And so I was
Yeah.
like limping to the house,
Ugh.
got to the house and realized that I locked myself out because they have a touch screen pad for the
Mm-hmm.
door and I had locked the screen door, not realizing that it would lock behind me. So the screen door is now locked. And so it was just a whole thing.
How'd you
Thank
get
God
in?
Alex. So I was like, okay, the only thing I know, and the dogs are now barking. There's three Frenchies in, and one of them's a newer one, and he's he just doesn't like to be left alone. So he's like barking his head off. We're locked out of the house. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm talking to my friends on their Ring camera through their door because they're like, whatever. So I'm like, oh, the second floor window is open. Like I left the window open, just the screen, so I can scale the house. We were gonna call my friend to bring her a ladder, scale the house, and like break in the top window. And Alex was with me, and she was like, "That's too like you're gonna like fall and then break your
Cops are
other
gonna
ankle and
come.
all this stuff. Cops are gonna come." So she goes, "Well, I wonder if the kitchen window is open, like unlocked." And I was like, there's no way they left, like, that's the easiest access for a robber to get in because it's like, at this height. There's no way they left that open. No way. What do you know? We pop the screen out and it's open, and I like climb in with my sprained ankle through the kitchen countertop and unlock the door. And I was just like, thank you. At least one thing was good luck there, but it was just one of those days, you know?
That's that is, and again, one of those days you can like look back and think is funny eventually, but at the time, like want to just
Yeah.
murder everyone. I was a couple of funny things to respond to that. So first, when you were like, you do all these sports, you work out all the time, hurt yourself stepping off a curb. I'm like, if it makes you feel any better, I am 99% convinced that my quote unquote shoulder injury is just because I sleep weird. Like I went to get a massage the other day and she was like, your lat is so messed up. Like it's everything about your left lat is bad. And I was like, I know it's because I sleep like this. Like I'm all crunched up and it's so bad. Anyway, so I'm like, sleeping, that's how I injured myself, if it makes you feel any better. Anyway, so
So
that's the
funny.
first thing. And then the second thing is I know people who are listening can relate to this where, you're having like a rough week or a stressful week or a stressful day like that. And you just kind of keep dealing with it and adapting and absorbing. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to freak out. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. And then like the one little thing that happens that you end up like losing your shit. Like I've seen Instagram posts where it's like, or reels where it's like your purse or like your coat gets caught on like a door handle, and like that's the thing that makes you lose it. And I had like a similar moment this week where, I'm like parenting and I'm busy and I'm trying to get a bunch of work done before I go on this vacation, right, to San Diego next week and all this stuff. And so, nothing bad. I'm just like busy, and like the stress is a little high. And like I was trying to like take the garbage out of the garbage can, and like the garbage was like stuck in the garbage can, and I'm like wiggling it, I'm trying to move it, and I was just like, this is the thing that's gonna make me actually lose my mind, you know what I mean? Like not anything else, just the garbage can. And I know that people listening can relate to this because it's always that little thing at the end that you're just like, I don't have the time for this anymore, I don't have the patience, I'm going to lose it anyway. We're all
And now you're
okay.
screaming at the garbage can.
Now I'm screaming at the garbage can, but better than screaming at
done
a
that.
person, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now that we got that out of the way, we have some questions. We have some listener questions that are really good, including one that has been in the inbox for a while that I wanted to get to. But first, let's talk about something exciting, which is a new show sponsor. Pretty pumped about. This is again another company that you and I have both separately been fans of and have worked with on and off, or just liked for a while. So it makes sense that they would come and help us and support the podcast. And it's Paleo Valley, and they make a lot of really good food. They do a lot of like fermented. They have like beef sticks, these 100% grass-fed beef sticks that are fermented. Their bars, they have like superfood bars that all have a lot of like plant ingredients, and I still eat them somehow. And they're fermented, which I think is cool because again, if you like go back to this podcast I did a while back with Bill Schindler, right, who wrote the book Eat Like a Human, and one of the like big through lines of the history of how human beings eat is that fermenting food is a healthy and good practice for preparing food and having food that's good for your gut and good for your body. So the fact that they have fermented like snack based foods is pretty cool. And I've been giving them to, actually mine are gone. They sent us some to eat and enjoy, and Magnus, he ate them all. So that's fine. I'm not mad about it at all. But anyway, so
they're good.
They are.
Mine are
really
halfway
good.
gone.
I can't believe, you managed to like hold on to, because I mean, but they're and they are great snacks for kids, right? Like they're protein, and I mean they're small. Like you'd have to eat one of us would have to eat like a handful of them to get like, a serving of protein, but they're healthy and they're good and they're convenient, and you can throw them in your bag, and it's a good option. So and they also have a bunch of other stuff. Like they've got an organ complex, which, as you know, I'm going to be a fan of. If you won't eat the real thing, like I've been telling you to for years, then have the organ complex. It's good. But they're just, I think, a very like thoughtful company that are really trying to make these sort of options that are healthy and like really, again, mindful and well thought out. So yeah, we're very happy that they're jumping on and helping us out. And they're giving you guys a discount. So you get 15% off anything. So you can go have a look and see if there's anything on the website that you like. We have a link that we'll put in the show notes. It's paleovalley.com/muscle science. And anything you buy through that link, you get 15% off. So if you like snacks, if you like bars and meat sticks and stuff like that, or you want some, I don't know, some supplements, they've got vitamin C, they've got all kinds of different options. It's a good place to get that stuff. So that's it. Paleo Valley. Do you have anything to add?
We'll put the link in the description as always. What is it again? Just so I remember.
paleovalley.com/muscle science.
Muscle science. Okay, cool. No, I mean, I think you covered it. Beef sticks are awesome. I think they're definitely, everybody kind of looks for convenient stuff, and protein bars are one of those things that are convenient, but most of the protein bars out there are just like glorified candy bars. So it's cool that they have both a good quality protein bar option, and then the beef sticks are just like pure protein, a little bit of healthy fat. And those are great. I've been using them like as a snack with fruit, because I love eating fruit, and especially summertime, like watermelon. I can literally eat a whole watermelon to myself. But usually you want to pair, a carb. Fruit is all carbs, which is Nothing bad, nothing wrong with that. But pairing that, especially for a snack, pairing that with like just a little bit of protein and fat can go a long way. So I've been adding just like one stick, sometimes two, along with some fruit. And it's just like such a quick and easy, convenient option that tastes real good. So
Speaking of protein bars, we have to do another segment of like what grinds Ashleigh's gears, because I always have to rant about something I saw on social media that makes me mad. I really should just like get off of it entirely. But anyway, what would I have to rant about if I didn't? This is just a small one, but this woman kept showing up in my feed who was like a fitness nutrition influencer, and I didn't do the research to see like what kind of credentials or experience she has, if any. She just kind of looked like she was in shape. But she was saying like, here are the protein sources that I minimize or try to avoid, and why. And can you guess that the top one was red meat? She was not a vegan. She was not plant-based. She just said, and her explanation, she's like, I avoid red meat because it's too high fat and who knows what else is in that stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry. Excuse me, what else is in it? Amino
all the
acids,
nutrients,
vitamins,
and
it's a one ingredient food. But what really got me though was, first of all, that just idiotic explanation, frankly, really, it's just like an uninformed, dumb thing to say. But then further down, she said, I try to use in moderation protein bars, like just when I need them. And when, just like I try not to eat too many of them. And I'm like, do you know what's in those? Do you know what the ingredients are in the average protein bar?
Did
you
comment on her stuff? Because like,
this is ultimately like, this is my, big sort of conundrum with this stuff is like, I don't want to add to the negativity of social media where I just like say negative crap to people I don't know. I think it is dumb. And I'm sure I could have written something that got my point across without being overly rude. It's like, I just
want you to do it one time because I just want to see the
it would
reaction.
be so good. And I would feel like I get why people
do it one time.
Not the trolling, not just like people who'd respond to her being like, you're an idiot, like you probably or I don't know, whatever, just like stupid, mean people. But like a ton of people, it did hearten me to see that a lot of comments were like, what do you mean all the stuff that's in red meat? It's one ingredient and it's very nutrient dense. Like just choose not to eat it if you want to, but like that's such a dumb explanation. But just this is the mindset. This is the education level of people where they're saying people just repeat stuff. They've just heard red meat is bad for your heart. And who knows what's in that? Who knows what's in red meat? So we're just going to skip it. But, some protein bars here and there, good, nice energy source. It's like if you're eating, to your point, the vast majority of protein bars, which are all just weird 0-calorie sugars and random ingredients we know nothing about, but we're not concerned about that at all. But God forbid you eat some animal fat. Anyway, this is a good segue into the first question. Yes. Okay, so I had to get it off my chest.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Love the rant. I do want to say, while I just pulled up my inbox to look at our Muscle Science for Women emails, and we have a new do you see that? We got a new
I'm looking at it right
member
now.
of our Strong and Sculpted Shoulders. So
yes,
that was fun. I just want to talk about that really quickly before we get into the first question. That was one of my favorite workshops we've had. If you missed it, it is still available for you to get the replay and all the stuff. So if you go to it's now rgfit.com/shoulders. That's just where we're housing the shoulder workshop replay and all the things, the program, all of that. So check that out if you missed it. It
was great.
It was great. There's just so many great things to say about it that I don't want to start rambling about it. So I'm just going to stop there, but it was awesome. I had a blast.
And we're already getting feedback from some of the ladies who joined us, which is nice because we asked for some feedback, post workshop, like, what did you think? But also because we want to continue to like make these good and what people want. And so we're getting great feedback so far from people who loved the education part. They're, enjoying the workouts and it seems to be going well. So I love that. I'm super
Yeah. And
pumped
I love
about
when
it.
we put our survey together, Ashley was like, one of the questions is like, is there too much information? Which is like, that's what we worry about. More so, Ashley, is like, did we
Yeah,
give them too much information? Because yes, it can be a little bit overwhelming, but you know, most people just give the bare minimum. But we're like, oh wait,
absolutely.
like, are
Are
we
we giving
giving too
you
much?
too much? And I mean, it
Yeah.
is a valid question. Like, we'll see. I mean, no one has said that yet. And I think that
Mhm.
we also self-select. Like, we have an audience that is very, educated and enthusiastic and wants to learn. And I know that there is an audience, and I'm not judging that audience, but there are people out there who are like, I don't want to know. I don't care
Yeah.
about the biomechanics or the physiology or what the muscles are called. Just give me the program and I'll do it. And okay, that's not really our MO. And we don't think that's the
Mhm.
most effective way to help people get fitter and stronger. We think that actually knowing how your body works is key to all that
Mhm.
stuff. But anyway, yeah. So we'll see if people are like, you hurt my brain, because my brain hurts sometimes. Because I'm not.
But that's why you have the information to go through like forever, right? It's not just like
Yes,
a one and done thing. Like you have it all.
absolutely.
You can go over it as many times as you want. You can go back in 3 years and go back through it. Like that's our whole point
Totally.
is like do it right from the start. So that you don't have to redo it and that you don't have to go seeking that information. Like if you are someone who's like, just give me the workouts. I was like that years ago. And now
Mhm.
I'm like, damn, I wish I actually paid attention because I would have not wasted so much time.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. And even like, like a good book or something, you can go back and really pick out parts that actually maybe are more applicable to you in some particular way or another. So like, for example, I know this isn't the shoulders program, but like the glutes program, right? One of the elements, I won't give away too much, but the idea of how to pair exercises and we do talk about this in the shoulders workshop too, but
mhm.
pairing exercises based on um, finding exercises where the movement or the exercise is hardest at different parts, like in the lengthened position versus the contracted position,
Mhm.
right? Something like that. It's quite simple to get your head around. It's like, okay, of course, you don't want to just keep doing 5 exercises that are essentially the same movement over and over again, right? It's going to be more effective to sort of mix and match. But that's also not something that I think the average person thinks about when they're at the gym and they're thinking, okay, glutes, what do I do? And maybe you end up doing lunges and step ups and like a bunch of things in a row.
Squats,
They're
yeah.
the same movement, right? So
Pattern, yeah.
anyway, like little things like that, every time you go back through the program and kind of pay attention, you're going to pick up something maybe new.
Mhm.
You don't have to absorb 100% of it
Yeah.
immediately, but it's all there for you. Like I said, truly, when you take this workshop, you are going to know more about shoulders and shoulder training than you ever thought you would possibly need to know.
Yeah.
And that's great.
But it's
Now you have more
so
information.
like from a also like an injury perspective and just like a nagging perspective with shoulders that everybody sometime in your life you're going to have something that's like not whether it's your elbow, shoulder, wrist, that's all related. And so like that's one of the big things too. So anyway, we don't have to go all the way into that because we could talk about it forever. But yes, it's awesome. And we do have a little special discount if you take the shoulder program for the glutes program. So check out the shoulder program and you potentially will get a little sweet discount on the glute program if you're interested in both.
What else do you need?
Yes.
Big delts, big glutes. What
Yeah,
else? I mean, I guess arguably biceps, but that's just me. Anyway, and
we'll
back.
get there.
Okay. Yeah. Next time. So it's rgfit.com/shoulders. Yeah.
Shoulders, yes.
All right. Do you
All
want to
right.
read this question entitled Protein Nightmare?
Yes, I do. So from Meg, she reached out. She said, hello, and thank you for your podcast. What? I love strong women, encouraging women to be strong. Same.
Love
She
it.
said, my husband is always doubting my focus on protein every meal. It's kind of his MO to play devil's advocate, and I felt pretty well
Classic.
educated.
Classic man. Anyway.
I felt pretty well educated in my rationale. I aim for 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, even in this mini cut I'm doing for 4 weeks. I want to repair and maintain my muscle throughout the cut as much as possible, but it is putting me at about 40% of my calories from protein. She said, so then earlier this week, he hits me with this study that says hitting my leucine threshold and getting over 22% of my calories from protein is bad for my arteries. I don't have any pre-existing health concerns, and I get at least a third of my protein from plant sources, tofu, legumes, veggies, etc. She said, is that okay? Is there something worth adjusting here? What's a strong woman to do? And we have looked into the study and we have some thoughts.
Yeah. So Meg, thank you for the email and I love it. What's a strong woman to do? Indeed. That we need to put that on a t-shirt.
Yes, that is a great t-shirt.
And sorry, we took a while to respond to this because I remember when this email came in, and then I remember seeing this study circling around and just doing like a big like, here we go again, you know? Yeah. And anyway, so I'm gonna link to, we can link to the study, and then I'm gonna link to, and you can add to this, but I just wanted to like have one sort of quick sort of synopsis. I read this article that was basically sort of synthesizing and providing a response to the study by Peter Attia. And anybody who doesn't know who he is, he's pretty popular. He's a physician and a researcher. He has a focus on longevity. He's a pretty big deal. And so basically, and I'm not going to get into the science of it because I don't know how to really speak super intelligently about it. You can, maybe get more into it if you want, but it's kind of basically talking about how protein intake, and I guess specifically leucine, in this study, it showed that and protein intake in general activates mTOR, which was driving I guess it was driving sort of arterial issues like atherosclerosis, which is like a disease of the arteries, which
Heart
is bad.
disease,
yeah. So too much protein. So too much protein, too much leucine is sort of encouraging this. And so that was
allegedly.
And so, yeah, so people are saying, okay, here we go again, more proof that eating too much protein is going to give you heart disease and kill you. So there are, again, I'm just going to very briefly overview some of his extrapolations from this because he's smarter than I am, but you do your own research. But again, it kind of comes down to the study having some flaws, the study itself, in terms of participant selection. So something about, they used untrained people instead of trained people. And there is tons of research out there that trained people actually respond to protein differently. They also, of course, used mice, and then they were using this model and kind of extrapolating it to human beings, which, as we know, is not necessarily accurate. I mean, it's mice, it's not people. And then in terms of like the results, not sort of applying it over a long enough period of time, like it was a very short time frame. So there's kind of a lot of different things going on there, but I think it is pretty clear that protein does stimulate activation of mTOR. That is a thing that happens. And I think it's also pretty clear science that activation of mTOR, or maybe even overactive or over time, can have something to do with can have some negative impacts on like aging and things like that. But there's no evidence, there's no connection based on this study alone that eating as much protein as we're saying we're supposed to be doing there's no direct link to arterial disease, basically. It's just saying, maybe, I don't know, look at this mouse population, that this mTOR uptake could have some negative impacts. And then we're saying, okay, so now that's the case for human beings. The bottom line still seems to be that the amount of protein that this woman is saying she is eating, which is really quite moderate, like it sounds high to the people who are, again, used to looking at the RDA as a baseline, 50 grams for an adult human being, 100, 120, 130 is going to sound like a lot, but it's not a huge amount. It is absolutely still necessary for life. It is necessary for muscle building, and more than the RDA is necessary for muscle building. There's no evidence that it's going to clog your arteries and kill you. And I think the other thing to think about is when we're talking about longevity, there does seem to be some evidence that's not in this study that restricting your food intake, including protein, can help you live longer. Like that seems to be, there seem to be a fair number of studies that show that what combined with fasting, or just chronic kind of calorie restriction can help you live longer. But what kind of life are we talking about? We're talking about like health span versus lifespan. Do you want to live to 95 and be sort of skinny and hungry and not have a lot of muscle? Or maybe do you want to live 5 or 7 years shorter than that, but be, have a more vital, robust life? And I think conversely, there probably is some research out there that shows that if you are force feeding and overeating, and this can be, for the sort of bodybuilding, powerlifting set too, like people who eat a lot all the time forever and ever, that can probably have a negative impact on your health as well. There's moderation and there's balance. And I think what this person is saying, what Meg is saying, the amount of protein that she's talking about is not an extreme amount. I don't think, I'm not a researcher or a scientist. We still feel pretty strongly about that basic kind of sweet spot of protein intake. And I guess the too long didn't read of it all is that this study is not conclusive and it doesn't provide a direct link to eating protein and getting this arterial disease.
Yeah. I think it's one of just a classic, like, this new study comes out and without even looking into the specifics of it, it's, headliner, right? The media runs with it. That's like just classic, right? And so, maybe there are some specifics within the study that can be, linked to certain things. But again, there's like, this is with any study, you have to like look further. You have to actually look, what's the population? What are the drawbacks? All of that. So I'm not
they
gonna
were also like untrained, overweight. That was the participant group. So that was another part of it. It's like, we're not talking about healthy people. And it's the same as like the original studies that were saying meat causes heart disease. Are we taking into account other lifestyle factors, right? Like, are these people exercising? Or do these people have crazy stress? Are they eating healthy foods? Are they eating a wide variety of, like, we're talking about people like, again, I don't know Meg, but she seems like somebody who's pretty on the ball. I'm sure she's eating healthy, nutritious meals and she's exercising and sleeping and like living a healthy life. I really don't think that a gram of protein per pound of body weight is gonna, put you in an early
And
grave.
she said 0.8 to 1, which is like still like I eat, and it's not just about what I eat, but like even in a mini cut, I would recommend actually for most of my clients bumping up the protein, because if you're reducing calories so much, a mini cut is basically like a short, intense fat loss phase where you're really bringing calories down. If you don't keep protein high, you're going to lose muscle, right? And you're not going to feel full and it's going to be miserable. And so like the whole reason you're probably going on this mini cut is to change your body composition, but not to lose muscle. Change your body composition and losing weight are two different things. So we want to preserve as much muscle as possible when we have less resources, recovery resources coming in, and protein is the biggest piece of that, along with resistance training. And so I think, again, I just, we talk about muscle being the, what is it? Who says this? It's muscle.
The organ of longevity.
The organ of longevity. Yeah.
Gabrielle Lyon, shout out.
Yes, exactly. So if that's the case, the only way to build and preserve muscle, the main two things are lifting weights and eating protein.
Yep.
And obviously other things as well, but those are the two biggest things. So, I mean, I don't have anything else to say about this. I think that you covered it. I don't think that 1 + 1 = 2 in this case. Like you can't take that out from a study like, oh, this happened, so this must cause this. That's not how it works. So
Meg, tell your husband to listen to this podcast. But yeah, I think
I need some protein.
I think that, the one, again, to sort of finish up to really think about is, and again, more research is always going to come out and we always have to weigh the results on our own lifestyle and preferences and what we want and our goals and all of those things. But I think remembering this concept of health span versus lifespan is, we hopefully will live long lives and we want to be strong and disease-free and pain-free for as much of that as possible. And there was actually I think it was like a New York Times or New York Magazine article or something about Peter Attia, and it was really talking about this difference between, like, human beings are living longer than ever. And in many cases, the last decade to 2 decades of their life is not a good quality of life because we've expanded lifespan beyond health span so significantly with the increase in medical technology, but that's come at a cost of like lifestyle factors, right? So I don't want to live 20 years if I can't extra, if I am mostly bedridden and can't do anything that I want to do, and my brain sort of isn't there and my health sort of isn't there. I mean, I want to be as healthy and vital as possible. And I know that muscle is a huge part of that. It's not the only part. It's also about eating healthy food and trying to manage your stress and having good relationships and getting outside and being in the sun and sleeping and all of those things. But I'm not going to eat a, I don't know, weird, mostly plant-based diet that's under the calories that I need to feel good because it might make me live an extra 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not about that life. Even if that does come out to be like pretty factual information, that's not a choice I'm going to make. So it's, you know, making the right choices for you.
Agreed. And I want to just like, are we ending here? Or are we going to do another question?
I think we can probably end here.
Okay, I just want to mention this because I wanted to mention this before while we're kind of wrapping up this protein episode and the red meat talk and stuff like that. You probably saw me post about this, but I had this discussion a few days ago with a member in my group coaching membership, and she is a newer member working on bumping protein up, and she's just not a fan of eating a ton of meat. Like, she will eat it, you know, she's just not a fan of eating lots of it day to day. And so she was struggling to get her protein up because she's like, I don't want to eat all this meat. And I'm like, you don't have to eat a ton of meat if you don't enjoy eating meat. Obviously, there's benefits to certain meats versus others. There's benefits to red meat, iron, all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals and all that stuff, right? You know, fish, right? That's another I feel like people forget about fish
and seafood in general. Like
seafood, yeah.
Even if you don't like a lot, I know a lot of people who are like, salmon, whitefish, I don't like it. I'm like, have you tried oysters and mussels and crab and, you know, just other stuff? There's so much. There's so many animals to eat out there. You just got to look for them.
Yeah. And so I basically was just like, here is an exact way to hit your protein goal while just eating like 4 ounces of meat, and actually over her protein goal. And it was just as simple as going into a food tracker and like plugging in a few things and just showing her like, it's actually really not that hard to hit your protein goal if you're educated on the foods that contain protein and the ones that you enjoy eating, right? You can still, we talked about this too. Obviously, we both aren't vegetarians or vegans, but you can still get a ton of protein from vegetarian options if you do it the right way. And yes, you probably have to supplement with some things to maximize that, but there are so many ways to hit your protein and beyond your goal if you just know what foods to include and in what quantities. So, I just want to point that out too, because if you're someone's like, I don't really love eating meat, like you don't have to, right? There are so many options, and, you know, reach out to someone who can help you configure that for yourself if you've been struggling with it. So
yeah, there's
no excuse. And the more I do this, I'm just going to say this too, because this is something where it's like, the more I coach people and I have, because we always talk about this. This is the one thing we work on when women come to us. The biggest thing is protein. Like, it's even within the last, like, it's gotten better, but still clients are coming and their protein is like under 100 grams and they're, you know, over 150 pounds, which is normal. Like that's, you know, I'm 140 pounds. It just doesn't have to be this way. Like, you can hit your protein, you can eat, like, you should be eating a lot of protein, and obviously high quality protein. And if you just spend a little bit of time educating yourself on how to do that, like, it just will make everything so much easier. So I don't know, it just,
yes,
when people say they can't hit their protein goal or they don't know how, honestly, obviously I want to educate you and help you, but at the same time, I'm like, you
get it through your head.
You can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. And what's one other thing is really cool is that I have clients who, they came to me like a year, 2 years ago, whatever, working together. And now they're like, I actually am eating way too much protein and I need to figure out how to manage that, because they now love protein. And the reason they're eating too much is just meaning that they're not getting enough, they're not leaving enough room, so to speak, for their carbs and fats. So that's another thing. Like, you don't want to just eat protein and not have room for carbs and fats, because those have their own importance. And so if you're going all the way on the other side of the spectrum, then obviously we need to work on that. But it's funny. It's like, we always talk about the extremes, and we always just want to find that balance. So
yes, I love that. I had a similar thought in the last couple days, since we're just being like a little bit feisty. One thing that I was thinking, and I know I've said this before on the podcast in the past, that like I would like to have, if I could have like a very niche job in this industry, it would be helping people bulk, because I think it's so easy, and I do not understand when people don't. Now, listen, again, if you have, a history of disordered eating or issues around that, I get that. I get the mental part of it. But for the average person who's just like, I don't know, like I just have a hard time eating enough, and I just can't get the calorie. And I'm just like, okay. And again, I'm a nice person. I'm not trying, but I'm like, how can you not? Like, I'm sitting here just today, I think it happened today, the last couple days, and I was eating like a full fat plain Greek yogurt with some almond butter mixed in, and we got some really good like gluten-free, relatively, I think, unsweetened, nothing crazy in it, like granola with some nuts and cashews and stuff. I'm like, this sweet little delicious little dessert bowl is probably 1,000 calories, no problem. Didn't even try. I'm like, yeah, how are you having a hard time hitting your calories and macros? It's so easy. Add some extra butter to your vegetables. Add some nut butter to anything. Put it in your mouth.
Just
add some
take
nuts
a scoop of peanut butter out of the jar. There's your 500 calories.
To anything. Like, it is so easy.
Go buy I think a trail mix. I'm thinking back to when we did our trail mix, when you put the trail mix, or I think Magnus put it in your grocery cart, and you came home and you ate like,
I was like, gotta eat it.
Like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, trail mix. That's like
I mean, I feel like maybe it's more men who have issues with this, because to be fair, if you're like say you're like a 220-pound athletic guy, and, I don't know, some days it's just hard to get enough protein and stuff. Like, I can understand that that's different than for a smaller bodied woman who her calories are going to be lower or whatever. But I'm just like, I just don't think there's any excuse for it. It's so easy to eat a lot. It's just so easy. Yeah. Like,
and we're not trying to like,
we're not shaming you. I'm just, this
and
is
if you are truly having, like, please write to us. And like, if you truly are trying to eat more calories, and like you need tips and advice on how to do that, write in, because I would love as well to do
write in, but also just buy some nut butter and put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Also write in, but literally that's it. Yes. Like, add full fat dairy to your diet.
Yeah.
Done. Anyway. Yeah. But yes. Okay. Good segue to ending this episode is, if you have any questions of any kind, or comments or feedback or topic ideas you'd like us to cover, send us an email at musclescience4women4@gmail.com. We read them. We love them. We will most likely discuss them on the podcast. So send us a note. And we're thankful that you listen. Please share with someone, anyone that you think could benefit, or post it on social media, tag us, rate and review, do all the things that are free to support us. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I couldn't fall asleep last night, and I was thinking to myself, I don't see many people tagging people anymore on Instagram stories. Like, I was thinking about that, like that. I just haven't seen, because usually you'll see people like reshare, and then you'll just kind of like flip through their story, because it's like, okay, now they're just resharing all these things. But let's change that for us.
Yeah,
let's,
it helps.
Take a screenshot of this right now, whether you're watching on YouTube or whatever you're listening to, screenshot, tag us, the Muscle Maven, at rachelgregory.cns. Share it if you liked it. It helps us to fly.
Yes. It helps us to fly and soar. Let's soar away off of this podcast now. Okay. Bye, guys. Bye. Don't do stupid shit.
Don't be insane.